Hi, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Beyond VMware, building smarter, more resilient IT with Veeam and Scale Computing. My name is Ali Presti. I'm the Alliance Marketing Manager here at Scale Computing. And today, talking to you guys is going to be Matt McPhail, Senior Technical Marketing Manager at Scale Computing, and Andrew Paul, Senior Alliances Manager for Veeam. Andrew, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so to start off, what we need to recognize, it's extremely important. Data is the lifeblood of every business, and it presents increasingly complex challenges for organizations like all of yours to manage. As the data just continues to explode year on year, the data sprawl across multiple clouds, countless endpoints, geographic locations. Veeam is really tracking two emerging threats to data resilience as a whole. The first threat being vendor lock-in. To keep the data resilient, you need the ability to move your data easily to new applications or platforms, especially as the industry tracks aggressive vendor price increases that are sending all of your budgets completely spiraling. The second is increasing volume and sophistication of the ransomware attacks themselves. A costly problem, especially when you're considering that 27% of organizations who have paid the ransom still couldn't recover their data after paying that ransom. So if we want to talk about that first threat of just costs absolutely spiraling, Veeam worked with a research firm called Foundry and interviewed over 500 CIOs to see kind of what the changes at Broadcom, how they're affecting their day-to-day. So on average, previously, these customers were spending over $100,000 on ransomware per year. But with all the increasing costs that they're expecting, should they keep the status quo moving forward, they're going to see at least a 3x surge in pricing over time. A lot of these companies don't have the simply the funds to keep the status quo, and they need to find options moving forward for their virtualization platforms. So if we want to look at it from a real world perspective, we've got some clips here from at least a Register article and as well as even Reddit. But customers, they aren't expecting to make the full move to a new virtualization platform for at least another year. Gartner's predicting that a lot of this movement is going to be happening in 2027. But this coming year, it's going to be filled with evaluation. The customers need to know, where should I be moving? What's going to meet my business needs? The customers need to start making their plans right now. The pricing, it's simply out of control, as you can see from this Reddit, the VMware Reddit thread that we found. One customer is spending about $3,000 on ransomware a year. Got their new quote, or sorry, not ransomware, on VMware per year. They got their new quote. It was $47K. Most customers can't withstand that type of price increase, and they need to find something new to do for their virtualization needs. So with Foundry, when we did our research, we also found that the customers, they're not necessarily even pleased with VMware anymore. You can see the dark blue lines. That's where the customers, felt towards VMware prior to the Broadcom acquisition. Once that change happened, you can see that everybody started to become more and more displeased with VMware over time. And with that displeasure, you can see by the chart on the right, almost half of customers are likely to make some kind of move within the next year or so. So, where does that come into play, and where does Veeam come into play with that? It's Veeam's data portability. If we can hit the next slide, and you can hit it again. So with data portability, we've already hit. Customers are less and less thrilled with VMware and Broadcom, and we know that a lot of those customers are going to be making those changes. Not only are they going to make those changes are not going to be overnight. On average, it's going to take roughly an hour to migrate per every VM, from one platform to the next. Customers need to ensure that as they're making those transitions, that their data is safe, fully in transit. So with Veeam, we're going to help with that. If you can switch to the next slide for me. So if we look at these four pillars that we've identified, the first one being hypervisor flexibility. Veeam's going to provide a flexible and holistic data protection option, ensuring security, ensuring that their backup strategy can stay the same, independent of the hypervisor virtualization platform that they choose. Obviously, we are now supporting Scale Computing's Hypercore for customers who want to make that move. In terms of the migration and modernization, Veeam's going to support the migration and modernization of any hypervisor, between different cloud platforms, whether it's a physical or virtual server or the applications themselves. We're going to enable the customer to optimize and leverage existing storage, facilitate turnkey backup services to ensure that we're going to be able to meet all of your unique business needs. And if you want to look at the lock-in aspect of this, this is where our data portability comes into play. With Veeam, businesses can gain the flexibility to move the data across those various platforms, whether it's cloud, hybrid cloud, on-prem workloads, allowing for the seamless data mobility to store and recover from anywhere to anywhere, eliminating that vendor lock-in. And then also, if our customers are looking to accelerate towards the cloud, Veeam's going to empower those organizations to embrace the cloud by providing tools for backup, for recovery, and for archival needs. Whether your goal is to rehost, replatform, refactor your applications, or simply disaster recovery, Veeam's going to ensure that there is a smooth transition. So when we look at this from a Veeam and Scale Computing standpoint, we're going to ensure that the customer has modern data protection for that data center or the distributed edge environments that are going to be running on scale. Should the choice be to have a blended environment with multiple hypervisors, maybe they're not making a full-blown change from VMware to Hypercore overnight. We have the ability to support a blended hypervisor environment. Veeam's going to give the customers the ability to move that that data seamlessly from platform to platform. No matter where that data is going to be living, Veeam's going to give the customer a centralized data management UI, for all of its workloads to help reduce the complexity of those migrations and those changes. And of course, lastly, Veeam's going to ensure that the data is resilient from ransomware, with our immutability, our zero trust principles, to ensure that not only when that data is moving, but also when it's in production, to ensure that there's a swift recovery should that ransomware happen. We all know that at this point in time, it's not necessarily an if, it's more of a when. So Veeam can be here to be your data protection provider to ensure that you can keep your business up and running. So with the joint solution that we have with Scale Computing and Veeam, we want to ensure that you have unmatched resilience, that your businesses are up and running and meeting all of the needs that you guys have on a day-to-day basis. So without further ado, I want to pass the ball over to Matt to give you guys a little bit more information on Scale Computing.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Everything that Andrew just talked about, I'm going to show you as part of this. So I'm really pleased to be able to demo the integration. I'm really pleased to be able to demo the fact that there's no hypervisor lock-in for Veeam. And I'm really pleased that everything that Andrew talked about, we're going to be able to go through. But before I jump in, just a quick reminder, if you've got questions, I want to make sure that your questions are answered. Andrew wants to make sure that your questions are answered. So please, in the Q&A, pop in a question. We've got folks that are standing by that are looking to answer them as I'm speaking. And then we'll also do a Q&A section at the end. So without further ado, before I jump into the demo, I just want to give a little bit of background around Scale Computing if you don't know who we are. So we have been working as a HCI hypervisor. So we're talking about hyperconvergence. The name itself came from Scale Computing since 2012. We've got customers across 30 different countries. We've got over 2,000 partners. We've got over 100,000 systems and 30 plus patents. We actually recently had a merger with another company that specializes in edge, a company by the name of Acumera. And so combined together, we hold a very vast portfolio of technologies and customers as large as Taco Bell or McDonald's or as small as a single node. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we've got a number of technology alliances, Veeam being at the pinnacle of our strategic technology alliances. But most importantly for you, if you're a partner or if you're a customer, we run applications where you need. We've got uptime of 99%. We've got operational efficiency that can be judged through tools that we have, either TCO or ROI tools to be able to show to you, to show that you've got reduced costs when you move to scale. If you're coming over from VMware, come on over. We'll help you out. With that, there are specific challenges that we have built our system around. I mean, from the very beginning, we saw that VMware was really, really good with large enterprise, very good with Fortune 500. Like that was where they wanted to be able to really make their money. And now Broadcom's kind of gotten to the point where they are pushing towards that. They're going to focus on keeping everyone in their ecosystem no matter what. We saw that from the very beginning as a challenge that we can address from a hyperconvergence vendor. We know that a lot of you have limited resources. We know that if you try to embrace everything from a VMware ecosystem, it's complex. We don't want to be that way. And we know that obviously you're going to need performance for every dollar that you spend, but also flexibility for every dollar that you spend. So that has been our core tenet is let's focus on you. Let's make it easy. Let's make sure that you get the performance that you need, but not for any extra cost or lack of flexibility for being able to do that. And now married with Veeam, we can do that extremely easy. Because if you go to the next slide, you can see that our platform goes across multiple different nuanced areas. So we talk about SE platform as a joint overlying infrastructure that you can use for your virtualization needs. Underneath SE platform, you've got SE Hypercore and SE Fleet Manager. SE Hypercore is that core virtualization engine. I'm going to show that off to you today. It goes through and talks about a number of key things that on the next slide I'll be able to show to you. But Fleet Manager is something that you may not know about if you're newer to Scale. And Fleet Manager allows for a multi-cluster management environment where if you've got many sites or if you are trying to use remote tools, or if you need a more advanced API environment, Fleet Manager actually allows for a multi-cluster management that does zero-touch provisioning. Basically, you plug in a node and go. It has a full set of metrics so that you can track your entire environment anywhere in the world, and has the ability to leverage a direct, secure link without the use of VPN, without the use of any type of environment that requires connection. It does it automatically through a reverse tunneling HTTPS so that you can get onto your clusters within a matter of moments without any advanced networking. On top of that, everything here is at a node lifecycle management. It is meant to, again, be flexible so that as your nodes come in and go out, you're able to take care of them easily. And on the next slide, it actually shows how we're able to do that so well. If you look at a standard HCI environment, or you look at a standard virtualization environment, every virtualization environment typically has the VM up at the top with a server underneath with storage attached to it across entire network environment. 3-2-1 typically has been the architecture there. Whether or not it is a true 3-2-1 in a Proxmox environment or in a VMware environment, or it's a hidden 3-2-1 in a Nutanix environment where the one just becomes the VSA that's tucked up underneath. You still need it, but you just don't see it. We did away with all of that, where we only have a fully converged hypervisor on top, thus hyper-converged environment where the servers are truly clustered across a network plane that makes things easy to deploy. Oh, and by the way, instead of needing 256 gigs of RAM to be able to handle a VSA, we need 4 to handle our environment. Instead of needing 8 cores, we need half a one. It's really meant to, again, reduce that complexity so that you can run this very easily. And On top of that, from a complexity perspective, we've actually put in a number of patented tools in order to ensure that this just runs. First of which is AIM. AIM, if you look at it from the most simplistic way, AIM self-heals. It allows you to be able to not worry about your environment. It will go in, it will look at an alert, it will email you exactly what that alert is, it will log it in syslog, but then it will say, wait, what does that alert mean? Let's go through, let's look at the state of the environment. If that state is off, well, let's go and fix it. So that initial state will trigger a set of conditions. Those set of conditions will go through and then trigger a number of actions that will occur to go in and fix whatever that state is to get it back to a normalized state. Thus, it is machine learning, AI, self-healing. And on top of that is the environment that it runs on, which is our own block engine. So we don't have any specific special storage. We don't leverage third-party storage in a way that is required. We can, but we don't do anything other than leverage an internal block engine called Scribe. Basically, what that does is that allows the VMs to think that they're running on direct attached storage when actually they're not. They're running across a clustered virtual Scribe device across as many nodes as we support. What's great about that is that you can have different real devices sitting underneath. You can have specific drives. You can have specific clusters that are associated with those devices. But more importantly, the system itself will distribute the load across those devices and will also do a stripe and mirror of anything that is written, such that if you want to, you know that the environment is taken care of. If a drive dies, that's okay. The system will wide stripe again. If an entire node dies in our environment, that's okay. It will go through once a new node is put in and wide stripe again. Again, all to reduce complexity. Given that technology, we can start off with as little as a single micro edge device, a 1U, not even barely the size of a couple of credit cards device that you could put into any environment. I got some right here sitting on my couch. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to build out an environment that is truly on the very edge, but you can then have that device, leveraging Veeam, replicate to a closer to your data center environment. You can leverage the Veeam technology to do migrations directly to a data center. You can leverage the cloud if you need to, or you can spread out the devices evenly across your environment. If you've got a main data center, but you've also got multi-site deployments, regional offices, you've got retail offices, all of those fit within our SE platform, such that, again, if you're only needing, on our part, a quarter of a core and 4 gigs worth of RAM in order to run our underlying technology, you've got the flexibility to put us anywhere, from the data center all the way to the very far edge. And again, Veeam makes that happen. So let's drill into the Veeam technology and why this is cool. Number one myth about Scale is that we don't have any nerd knobs. That we're just simple. We're very easy to use. Yes, we love leaning in on some simplicity, but we would not be able to make the relationship with Veeam work if it wasn't for the underlying work that engineering and the nerd knobs that they've created. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this in a moment, but I want you to have an understanding of exactly what's happening. So the cluster itself is talking directly with a worker VM. This is a worker VM that Veeam has been able to set up leveraging Cloud Init and leveraging our advanced APIs. There's a management connection between the Veeam console, the worker VM, and our own plugin that we've got directly. So we can be leveraged as a backup server. We can be leveraged as a repository for restores. We can do full synthetics. There's full change block tracking that's associated with it. And there's direct disk restore, all because Veeam has taken their technology, has leveraged our own very advanced API and Cloud Init technology, and created a way for the communication to happen seamlessly for you on the back end. And you'll see that as I go through the demo in a moment. The architecture itself looks exactly like this. You've got a management layer and a data layer that allows for the backup repository that Veeam is running to connect through our REST API for Veeam backup and replication across the console. And all of the features that you would expect would be there, from image level to job sourcing, backup exclusions, the ability to support all backup repositories. You can do full restores from any of the environments. You've got swap files, email notifications, compression. The list, as you can see, is complete. And your restore can come from anywhere. You can do restores directly from vSphere, from Hyper-V, from AHV. We've got overt running, Proxmox, all the way down. And as I'll show you in a little bit, this comes out of the box for Veeam. This is not something that you're going to have to really pre-configure. You'll be able to do it extremely easily. And the fact that you can restore from file, block, cloud, object, and anywhere is extremely valuable, as you'll see here in a moment when I do restore from a Hyper-V VM directly onto us. So with that, let me share my screen. Again, if you have any questions, by all means, put them in the chat. The fact that I'm not seeing too many questions come through is a good thing. I guess I'm explaining myself appropriately, or Andrew has. But please, again, feel free to put questions in. So I've got a couple environments that I want to be able to show you. So this is my sandbox environment when it comes to Veeam. I've got Veeam 13 running here. I've got Veeam 12.3 running here. I've got a number of other special VMs that are running in here that allow me to do some backup and restores. And this has just been a really fun box for me to be able to test and learn a lot about Veeam. So you can see here over on this side, I've got a Veeam sandbox and I've got a Veeam 13 environment. I'll show you the Veeam 13 environment in a moment, but I'm going to go into the Veeam sandbox first. I was able to just click on the console link. Console link takes me directly to the Windows server that Veeam's running on. You can see all of the specific backup jobs that were run. I ran a Hyper-V backup job about last evening in preparation for this, but I'm going to actually go into the restore feature and I'm going to restore directly onto HyperCore. So, and Andrew, as I'm going through this and showing off your product, please interrupt me if I'm showing anything wrong. So I appreciate any corrections to errors that I might show. But I'm really confident about this. I've done this a few times. So what I'm going to do is, what's that?
I said I can certainly help you if you need
All
it.
right, I appreciate that. I'm going to do an entire VM restore. So you can see here, I've got my entire inventory of backup jobs. I'm going to choose backup job 3, like I already showed you earlier, and I'm going to restore from Hyper-V my Hyper-Veeam VM. Specifically, it's only about 16 gigs, so we're talking about something fairly straightforward, but this is just a Windows 2022 box. I'm going to restore to a new location. This is going from Hyper-V directly onto Scale, and I'm going to select target cluster. So I've already got a pre-programmed target cluster. That's actually over here. I'll show you that in a moment, but let's get this job going. Click on OK. Click on Next. I am going to restore the VM tags. VM tags are something specific to us that tells the scale cluster exactly where the VM needs to be housed just for organizational purposes. Click on next. I'm going to keep the name. I could actually choose many different VMs and do a full bulk restore if I wanted to, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to do this. The target is fine. I could change the networking if I wanted to. I could actually update this if I needed to. Going to click that. Reason, I am actually going to do a migration from Hyper-V and then click next. I do want to power on the VM after restoring. So click finish. And the job looks for the restore session. It actually pops up looking for resource availability. That's always the first check that's done. And then it's actually going to go in and prepare the worker. So if I pop over to my other cluster, you can see here, my SE worker has actually already been deployed and it's starting on. Veeam goes through and does a number of pre-checks in order to make sure that the worker has connectivity to our API, is able to perform cloud init, actually goes through and boots up to make sure that there's connection over to the Hyper-V server and that there's full console access. So as it goes through this and does its specific checks, it takes about 2 to about 5 minutes in order to do this. I'm going to actually give you a preview if you haven't seen it on Veeam 13. So I'm going to pop into this particular console, and you can see here, I've actually got a Veeam 13 install already ready to go. So what's cool about this? And to keep a promise that I promised Andrew, this out of the box shows you that you have got no hypervisor lock-in. I didn't have to do anything other than install Veeam 13, and you can see that you've got a full list of hypervisors that you can actually already connect to. So specifically anywhere from vSphere to Hyper-V, all the way through Nutanix, Proxmox, Overt, and of course, us. So let's do that. I'm going to add in a new scale cluster. I'm going to give it a specific IP address of the cluster that I'm going for. This is actually outside of the 2 clusters that you're seeing right now. So this is a third that I've got spun up for this demo. Going to go in. I'm going to add in specific credentials. I've actually got some already saved here. This is just my admin credentials for the scale device. Going to click on apply. And you can see it goes and takes a look at the server and it sees that I've got a self-signed cert. So it wants to make sure that that's okay. I'm going to continue, going to click on that. And then it actually registers it. It then refreshes and I click next and it applies. So I click on finish right here. And to deliver the backup date and repositories, the Veeam plugin for scale computing requires at least 1 worker. So this is very similar to how Veeam interacts with anything that runs in a KVM fashion primarily. So of course, you want to allow it the worker. So I'm going to deploy the worker onto 1.2.13. Give it a name. I'm just going to call it SC worker. And then I don't want it to overrun that server, so I'm just going to do 2 concurrent tasks. Now, what's cool about this is that you can actually choose some of your advanced nodes and environments here. You can set the size of the worker. You can set the amount of memory that you want the worker to have. If you want to, you can say that the worker only should be running on this particular host. And it's very keen on being able to tie in with our API to be able to do that. Click on next because I really am fine with that. I can add in any specific network, but I'm going to just let it obtain automatically. Click apply. Oh, fine. VLAN 0 network, obtain IP address automatically, and then we're done. So adding in the worker, I am going to have it test the worker. Then it's done. Goes through, tests the worker, finished, and then it's uploading the image. So you can see over here on this particular environment, you can see the SE worker has been created. and is ready to go. And so now it's just going through and making sure that the test can occur. So again, to Andrew's promise, easy migration and the ability to not have hypervisor lock-in. So let's check back within the environment on that migration, just to make sure that everything's okay. So going back on Veeam Sandbox, you can see here, Hyper-V went through and prepared the worker successfully. It's using the worker, it's going through the restore process, and it is going through a specific disk restore. So if I go back to the cluster, you can see the workers there. And oh, it just created that Hyper-V VM. And you can see that it is working my internal network hard to move over those 16 gigs. So we're talking about half a gig a second in order to get everything running. So you can see what's happening underneath is this worker is actually really cool in the fact that it is mounting its own specific drive. So this second drive right here, that is actually the Hyper-V restore drive that it is mounting in order to make sure that all of the contents from Veeam are back onto the system. And what it was able to do through the API was unmount from the worker and then mount it up onto the Hyper-V disk such that you didn't have to do anything. You can see that the disk is already there. It is actually going through the power on function. And then from there, you can see everything is restored. It's powering on the environment right there. Just to reiterate a couple things. Scale, again, we are meant to be powerful, yet simple. We're going to be an edge computing solution, but also we're going to be a data center solution that allows for deployment anywhere with cloud-like orchestration. And we want to make sure that it's easy for you, but yet also scalable, easy to add on other nodes. I actually, in order to prepare for this environment, on Monday, I had a node die. So I had to do some quick surgery on a node, and it was easy to pop out my NVMe drive and put it in another NUC in order to make sure that the cluster that you saw was up and running properly. It took roughly a half hour to be able to do with my Scale branded screwdriver. The idea is that it's supposed to be resilient. You're able to go through, and if you have a environment or a piece of the environment die, you can get it back up and running, or it's going to fix itself and you don't even have to worry about it running. And what's key about the relationship with Veeam is that by design, we make everything secure. We make everything simple. Veeam gives you the full ability to do backup and restore, full ability to not have vendor lock-in, full ability to do migrations. And then with us, we're actually able to have that storage, that hypervisor, and everything set up efficiently, such as the ability to use thin provisioning, the ability to use deduplication. You don't have data lock-in with us, just like you don't have a vendor lock-in with Veeam. And everything from Veeam all the way to us is edge and cloud ready. Seamless workloads across the board with little to do if you're busy running your more complex application environments. We just run well together. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ali to take us home.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Andrew. We're going to move on to our Q&A session now. So if you have any additional questions, please put them in the chat and we will have everybody answer them. I'm going to leave this slide up here while we answer your questions. We encourage you to engage with us. We have a link here to watch a demo, learn more on veeam.com or scalecomputing.com. And we have some QR codes here. If you want to get out your phones and scan them, you can download our solutions brief directly to your phone, or you can book a meeting with us and receive a $200 gift card. So now on to Q&A.
So I see a fun one just first off. Craig, I know you're typing an answer to this, so maybe I should wait on it. But will using Scale lower a client's cyber insurance premium? I would have to say that that depends on the carrier, but definitely Veeam and Scale together will very much lower your risk of ransomware to, we can never say 0, 0, but almost to zero, just because of how we handle snapshots and recovery and how Veeam can handle a multitude of ransomware attacks. And Andrew, if you've got anything to add, by all means.
Nothing to add on my end there.
Okay.
It looks like we have a very lively chat. I just popped this open and we've up to over 30 questions. Craig,
Nice.
Andre, Mitch, appreciate you guys getting back to everybody in these at a rampant pace. Um, just looking to see if there's any in
Yeah.
the open that we can address.
I see another one, which is does the new scale integration require Veeam Backup and Recovery 13, or does it work on Backup and Recovery 12? It actually does work on Backup and Recovery 12. So 12.3.1, which I showed you as part of the demo, has a plugin that allows for a scale to be able to integrate directly with a Veeam 12.3. But out of the box, it works on 13.01. So you don't have to have the plugin in order to get it working with us at 13.01. So thank you, Ryan. And then anonymous attendee, is Veeam licensed per cluster or per node? Basically, could we use Veeam to back up our scale cluster and our VMware boxes with one license?
If you have a Veeam Universal license, you'll be able to utilize that for both scale environments and VMware environments. But in terms of the license, it's one license per restore point. So if you have a VMware environment and a scale environment, you need one license for each.
And then, oh, I like this last one. What are the minimum requirements to install a scale computing cluster? How can I get a demo to run tests? So, minimum requirements to install a scale cluster. Like we've got a single node cluster that you saw me restore to. That is a single NUC that's got 32 gigs worth of RAM in it and an i9. So we're talking very, very small, but we also work on 2U boxes that are running clusters of 100 drives. So we actually can scale extremely well when it comes to that. And if you reach out to Veeam at scalecomputing.com or leverage the QR code there, we do actually have the ability to do some POCs. So just reach out if you're looking to run a POC, because we'd definitely like to work with you on that. Do you license just your software, or can we install on our own hardware? So great question for that. I'm assuming that's not for Veeam, because Veeam is definitely able to install anywhere. From a scale computing perspective, we actually do have a combination of both. So check with your local rep or check with your partner in order to determine what works best for you. Oh, and I got a guest question from a Mr. Jason Spiker, who I really appreciate joining because he is a friend of mine from my childhood home. So cheers, Mr. Spiker. Great to see you. Are there specific SC nodes that Scale is using to run as a VM appliance itself to protect a 4 TB VM environment, let's say? Honestly, from our perspective, there's not a specific node that is required in order to back up like a 4 TB environment. So the best case is that you obviously have to have a repository for Veeam to be able to run into, but if you've got a single edge device, you can actually leverage that as a Veeam appliance that then could be backing up anywhere that you require. Now, obviously, you're going to want to make sure that you're telling it exactly where to back up to. Otherwise, it will default to the local appliance. But past that, Veeam's great about being able to back up anywhere from just a local single node all the way to the cloud. So, and Andrew, feel free to add on to that as well.
Nothing to add on my end. Scanning through all of these questions, but Mitch and Andre and Craig are doing these very quickly.
I know.
See
I
if
know.
there's
Thank
anything we can
you.
help with.
You're making our jobs easy. Normally, we're having to scan through them quickly.
Yeah.
All right. Another one that came up. If we are currently using a scale system in a Veeam backup and replication, using agent-based backup, will transferring over to this plugin for backup purposes be beneficial? And what benefits will we gain? So if you're already using us together for agent-based backups and you like it, great. But it just comes down to ease of use when it comes to being able to leverage the plugin instead of agent-based. And it comes down to you're going to be able to see and leverage a lot more, especially if you're doing migrations or if you're looking between multiple different hypervisors. But Andrew, I can't say that there's dramatic benefits between using agent-based with Veeam versus using the plugin. It's just easier.
Ease of use. Yeah, you are
Yeah.
100% correct there.
Yeah. Is it possible to move our workloads from our scale cluster to the cloud if we had an outage, which may take down our cluster in a DR site? Oh, that's a really good question. So, I mean, again, Veeam, this is their bread and butter. So being able to move between different sites from a replication perspective and leverage Veeam for in case of outage, absolutely, please. I can't say that 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 wouldn't be a scenario that wouldn't work. Next one. Can Veeam do advanced recovery options from VMware? Uh, yes.
Looks like
So
Andre is tackling that one.
yeah, yeah. So Andre, all yours. Uh,
Let me see.
is uh, is a customer if a customer is using a competitor to Veeam and only wants scale, can you unplug Veeam? Why would you want to do that? I'm not going to answer that question on a Veeam webinar. Come on. Anyways, no, thank you for your question. Talk to your Veeam rep about that. We are using a service provider to help with managing our Veeam backup. We're utilizing a virtual repository for storage. We've been messing with Scale plugin for a couple of days, and it appears to not be possible to back up a Scale VM to a virtual repository. So specifically, if you've got the Scale backup and you're trying to back up elsewhere, just double check that all of your network connections are set up and make sure that the plugin is not only for Scale, but it's also for wherever you're sending the virtual repository, because that should be working fine directly out of the box. Andrew, any of these you want to tackle?
Andre is answering Isaac with his VMware question.
I'll just make a quick
No, Gary, you're fine.
Yeah.
Gary, you're fine. Don't worry.
I'll just make a quick comment. If you are raising your hand, please type your questions into the chat and we'll get to them.
Yep. Is the Veeam Scale API VSS aware for Veeam backups? Yes, it is. Actually, we did something really unique in 13, Jason, which is we actually made our VSS unaware so that the Veeam VSS could actually, which was more powerful, actually go in and do quiescing based upon their requirements with 13. So in our latest release, we actually allow Veeam and its functionality to take over VSS in order to ensure that the complete Veeam backup is taken care of in that way. Great question. Not sure what mechanism is in place, but Veeam Cloud Connect is very likely. Yep, that's correct. What else? We're currently using a competitor to Veeam, and the compression is good enough right now, 75%. Does Veeam compression data the same way, or should I plan on more storage? Andrew? Andre? As a Veeam user, I would say yes, based upon what I have seen, because I'm getting a 15 to 1 on all the tests that I'm currently doing. But which is obviously better than 75%, but I will leave it to the Veeam folks just to say thumbs up.
Yeah, it looks like Andre's typing up an answer, but
Perfect.
when you say does Veeam compress data in the same way as who is where I beg the question. But to Matt's point, I think you'd be happy with the performance that you'd see from Veeam.
Yep. Oh, with you manipulating the VSS as mentioned, does that disable shadow copy on the file server, running shadow copy local? No, it doesn't. Basically, it's only for backups. So everything from the local server is still going to work. And in fact, this is only a one-time thing when the backup occurs, and then it's re-enabled. So you don't have to worry about that at the file system level. But great question. Will the plugin allow us to create 321110 backups directly to a SAN if it's set up as a repository, specifically immutable backups? I would assume so. Again, Andrew, Andre,
Yeah, I would assume
that
so as well.
seems very
It,
straightforward.
yeah, it will allow you to create that 32110. I'll need to check if VNX is supported as a target in this scenario.
Yeah.
But there are multiple target options that we have. I would just have to go through the list and refresh myself on that.
Any tools from Scale to help size an environment for migration? Yes, we have multiple tools that will allow, and our SA staff is highly trained on helping you migrate off of VMware. In my prior life, I actually worked for VMware, and so I have seen it all, and so has most of our staff, and we are very well trained on being able to get you up and running. And in fact, Mitch and Craig, who are on the call, they're part of our product staff, and they've put in a lot of key tools in order to allow you to migrate VMDKs directly into our environment, worked with OEM relationships in order to handle migrations, and then obviously working with Veeam is creme de la creme when it comes to migrating off of VMware and directly onto us. Why should I use Veeam over Acronis? For a number of reasons. Let me just say that the integration and the capabilities of Veeam, based upon all of the testing that I've done, are exceptional. Now, we will never bash anyone on any call that we do, but I highly recommend you to at least download and try out Veeam. You've got the ability to use Community Edition if you're unsure about it, and then leverage the functionality and how powerful Veeam is based upon the connections that we're able to get with Veeam.
That was a great way to answer that, Matt.
Certainly. Does replication Veeam work to create a replica server node? Ooh. Correct me if I'm wrong, and again, Andre, Andrew, the worker VM works very much like a replica server node, and you're leveraging all of the power of a replica server just within that VM, so that you can actually leverage any of our clusters anywhere as long as you've got that that worker VM like a replica server, because of the functionality that we're getting through Cloud Init, through the APIs, and through the full Veeam feature set based upon that worker VM.
Spot on again, Matt.
How we are. Is Scale expanding its portfolio to other third-party backup solutions? If so, how do customers follow the progress? So that remains to be seen. Obviously, we're not here to talk about any other backup products other than Veeam. But specifically, you can follow us on scalecomputing.com. We typically do announcements every quarter just around any of the folks that we're working with. But again, we're here to talk about Veeam, and we love the fact that Veeam 13 just came out with Scale support. What was it? Just before Thanksgiving, I was able to download that, Andrew, and we were able to get it up and running within an hour. Is the new CE version modified from previous Cs?
Not to my knowledge.
No, no.
I see Isaac's question. Andre seems to
The
be
one thing that hasn't
answering.
come up that I do want to mention is that in version 13, you've actually got a virtual appliance out, which is extremely cool in the fact that you could just download a OVF and upload it directly into us, and you can have it running from within our environment with very little configuration that needs to be done. And in fact, I know that our product team is looking at adding Veeam from its appliance perspective into our listed applications that are coming out as part of Fleet Manager. So we want you to be able to have Veeam to be able to deploy out to all of your clusters as you need, just as part of our functionality. Oh, Isaac, specifically on Veeam 301 180, you see everyone but us. So I don't know which version I got. I think I got the version after that, but the one that was just released the Thursday before Thanksgiving does have our functionality in it. So I think that us, Overt, and Zen were added in as a recent version, hypervisor versions within 13.0.1.
Correct.
Have you seen a lot of people come from Cohesive to Veeam, bringing over on-prem cloud backups and Fort Knox without headaches? If so, any gotchas? Andrew?
I'm not well versed enough to have an answer for you there, to be honest.
Yeah, reach out to your Veeam rep regarding cohesivity. Definitely, they'll be able to help you out there. We don't want to give you a wrong answer. Definitely.
Yeah, or feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. We can get some of these answered if we haven't answered you to your satisfaction, but I just haven't been close enough to our competitive team to have a solid answer for you there.
Fair. We use Cloud Director through data center vendors that are path to migrate Windows Server VMs from that environment. Yes, use Veeam. It works great. Does Scale have a feature which when a hard drive is failing, it phones home and a new drive is delivered to the client just in time? So we do have the ability to set up alerts. We do have the ability to have alerts go directly to our support staff. And we actually did have a phone home feature that at one time thought was a good idea. What we found was that we were sending drives out proactively, meaning a drive would fail, quote, fail, and we thought it would be a good idea to send out a drive. And by the time the drive arrived on site, Scribe and AIM had already gone and reset the state of the drive to the point where it actually hadn't failed. It had come up with a fault that we were able to clear, and the drive was still running just fine. So now the customer had an extra drive that they didn't know what to do with because the system self-healed. So what we actually ended up doing was we were shipping out a whole bunch of drives that were unneeded. So we actually did away with that because of the fact that we actually go through the process of self-healing. We do have direct remote support where our support staff can be on the clusters and make sure that the drive truly has died. And then we will proactively ship out a new drive. Andrew, I'll let you read the last one.
Veeam is awesome. Not gonna lie, support has been great over the years.
Got to say it loud. Veeam is awesome.
I was reading
not
myself.
Gonna lie.
Veeam is awesome. Not gonna lie. Support has been great over the years, which actually is the main selling point for us. If we acquired a company that had been a competing product, we kept Veeam. Great news. I appreciate that, Ulysses. Hopefully, I said that correctly. Answered by. I'm just looking through some of these other ones.
Rudy,
Somebody asked about 12.3.2. I think I answered that one, but yes, the HyperCore plugin will work. There was a couple other ones.
I love the fact that there's tons of answers. Keep them coming. We got another 5 minutes, and
a couple people had asked about.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say a couple people I've seen it a couple times have asked about pricing. There is no pricing change on the Veeam side if you are to move from a VMware or any type of other environment to Scale Computing. Same pricing model for Veeam. As long as you're using the Veeam Universal License, you can protect all of your workloads, no matter which one they are. I saw somebody else ask about support. In terms of support, Scale will support Scale, Veeam will support Veeam, but we have the option to work on the back end with some tooling so that our support organizations can call each other. If you do call Scale and it is a Veeam problem, you can call Veeam and we'll already be fully read in on what's going on. So it's not, you don't have to start over. So you should be okay to go there. Do we offer educational discounts? I imagine so. If you're a small school district, I would have to look, but I believe that we do. I don't want to talk to the pricing team specifically, but I believe we have educational SKUs for you guys.
And specifically from the Scale side, definitely talk to your reps about that. We've actually gone through a number of recent pricing changes. So I don't want to talk to what the sales guys are doing. I'll let them do their job. But our sales team wants to work with you just like the rest of our team. So by all means. And high five back to you, Gareth, for the QR code. Does Scale have a native built-in backup solution as well? Is there anything that differentiates it from Veeam? Is there a benefit to running both if you do have one? So I will touch upon this. I mean, we're talking about Veeam backup and replication. We do have a replication solution. It is meant to work only between our clusters. So it is not robust when it comes to comparing it against Veeam. And so I'm going to just leave it at that. There is replication included, cluster to cluster, but leverage Veeam when you're talking about your full backup environments and you want to leverage a large replication environment. But thank you, Jason, again, for that question. Again, say hi to your wife for me.
All right, I think we have time for one or two more questions. If you have them, please put them in the chat. And if we do not get to your questions, we will reach out to you afterwards. And if you have any additional questions, please reach out to us at veeam@scaleComputing.com. We will get back to you as soon as possible. We got any more questions, guys?
See one more that Andre is answering. How do you test your backups? I know from my perspective, I woke up at 7 a.m. this morning and tested my backup to make sure that it was working just fine for this demo, and it ran flawlessly. At least from the scale, from my side on the Scale environment, I was able to test the backup because it started the VM directly from my Hyper-V instance onto the Scale instance, and I was able to see that everything came over just fine. There's obviously within Veeam statistics, you've got the full backup and recovery CBT, continuous change block tracking, and to ensure that the test and the backups are working appropriately. And then I can't say that I've ever had any issues when it comes to restoring a VM directly onto us. But that's my Scale perspective.
All right, guys. Well, we are officially at time. Thank you so much for all of the awesome energy and all of the questions. This recording will be shared out next week in our follow-up email. And again, if you have questions, please reach out to us. We're happy to work with you. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you again for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.